Yo, what's good, everybody? Eric here with the Gaming Plus podcast, back at you with another episode. Just got done with a pretty eventful weekend. Always enjoyable. Naka Kon 2019 just wrapped up. It was a fun weekend. A lot going on, like always. Naka Kon is one of the events I look forward to the most year in, year out. I've been going to Naka Kon faithfully since 2014. And this episode of Game Plus Podcast is going to be kind of a review of the weekend. So no matter how much I like Naka Kon, there is no such thing as a perfect convention. And where they do a ton of stuff, right, and the event is enjoyable for the most part, there are some things that could be tweaked, could be reworked. Something that could be taken a look at. Right off the bat, 2 years in a row, the gaming room, the gaming portion of Naka Kon is phenomenal. I can't say, it's phenomenal. It's great. The gaming room is separated into three sections. You kind of have your tabletop. You have like your arcade games like Dance Revolution, Street Fighter, things like that. Some classic arcade games in there. Classic Japanese arcade games. Like they had Power Stone 2. For anyone that's familiar with like the Dreamcast era, Power Stone was one of the best games out, and they had like the arcade machine of it. So it was really cool to see that. Tons of games in there, and then they have the actual game room with the console. So you have your Xboxes, your PlayStations, PlayStation 2, 3, your Wii's, everything in there. And I thought it was really cool. It was actually my first time seeing and actually being able to play the PlayStation Classic, the mini classic PlayStation that comes with the games preloaded on there. So kind of got a feel for it, which is good because I was thinking about buying one. So being able to play with one and see it firsthand before I made the purchase is it's convenient. But yeah, the gaming rooms were amazing. There's not much I can say. There's nothing wrong with them. There's plenty of space. The game rooms are separate, and like I said, into three different sections or three different rooms. The tabletop room isn't crowded. It's not. There's plenty of ventilation, so it's not like stale air. Like you have a lot of people in the same room. The air could become very stale, kind of like a musty smell. But no, plenty of space. The people there in charge are very knowledgeable, very friendly, especially for people like that, because they have games you can play. They'll teach you how to play the games. Like I said, they're very knowledgeable. They're very approachable. It's just good to see that, because not all conventions are like that. And to have these games there, most people don't know how to play these games. To have people that actually know how to play them, it's good to have that, because if they didn't know, you'd be sitting there trying to teach yourself how to play a game, which nobody wants that. They also have the pachinko machines, which I didn't get a chance to actually use, but the pachinko machines are always cool, and Naka had plenty of them this year. But again, like I said, 2 years in a row. Last year they revamped the gaming room to this model that they had this year, and I can't remember the guy's name. I want to say the guy's name is Michael Smith, that is in charge of the gaming portion of the convention. I'm not exactly sure. I want to say I read that somewhere last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, that part of the convention was amazing. Registration is usually one of the worst things about Naka Kon, and this year, registration was a breeze. I didn't even go up there, the day before the convention started to kind of get my ticket early. I got there the day of the convention, and it was a breeze. And this actually ties into one of my complaints, which sounds weird, but I'll get to it. Just bear with me. But yeah, the registration was great. Parking wasn't as bad either. There was still a full parking lot, during the day, which you have to expect that for it's an anime convention, but it definitely wasn't as crowded as normal. Now, I kind of want to go into a couple negative things before I continue with the rest of the convention. So, like I said, the registration was a breeze, as well as the parking situation wasn't as bad as it normally would have been, because it has always been bad. Registration's always been bad. Lines are extremely long. People not knowing, the volunteers that they have there, the people they have there working registration, not knowing exactly where you need to go if you ask them, But one thing that they have to do, and they kind of fixed this for a few years, is they need to steer clear from Planet Comic-Con. Planet Comic-Con will be the death of Naka Kon if they keep doing this. It doesn't make any sense. Now, 2014, 2015, 2013, around a few years back, several years back, Naka Kon and Comic-Con, or Planet Comic-Con, I want to say they happened on the same weekend. It was at the same weekend. So it was like you'd have to pick and choose which one you wanted to go to, which is mind-boggling. It doesn't make any sense. Now, back then, Planet Comic-Con, to my knowledge, didn't have that many anime guests. It wasn't really, you'd see some anime cosplay, but it wasn't really geared towards Japanese culture. It was mainly just like any other Comic-Con. You'd have a sprinkle of it in there, but they weren't going out of their way to cater towards that market. 2019 Comic-Con, it's the 20th anniversary. They completely blew Naka Kon out of the water when it comes to the guest list. Just completely just destroyed them. It was just, it didn't make any sense to me, because it was like Naka wasn't announcing any guests, and it was like every other day. I was getting a tweet from Planet Comic-Con about guests that are going to be there. And matter of fact, I want to say the last time I got a message from them about a new guest announcement was maybe a few days ago. And the convention is next week. And they're still announcing people, but it was a plethora of guests for Planet Comic-Con. As far as pertaining to anime and manga, like the voice acting list, it was very impressive. So when you take that into consideration, where you have a bigger convention, that has better guests than you, and then their convention is a week after your convention, logic would dictate that you would think that would hurt your ticket sales, and I guarantee you that it did, because that's tying back to registration and parking. That's why I said the parking lot wasn't as full, and that's probably why there weren't as many people in the registration, because there weren't that many. I'm not gonna say there weren't that many people there, because there was still a packed event, the whole weekend. But it definitely, I can tell that there weren't as many people as usual there, because either A, they were saving their money for Planet Comic-Con, or whatever the other reason could be. Honestly, I picked, even though Planet Comic-Con had the better guest list, I chose Naka Kon just because it's Naka Kon. I love going, and that's just what I do every March. But I'm actually just going to go through this guest list real quick about the voice actors that I see on there. And it's not even just the voice actors. It's everyone else that's on here too. Besides besides the voice acting, it's everyone else. So it's like, even if the Japanese voice actors weren't on there, or the anime voice actors weren't on there, they still had a really good guest list for everything else. Like Monica Rial is going to be there. Dragon Ball My Hero Academia, Chris Sabat is going to be there. Those two alone, that's huge. Vic Mignogna was going to be there. Not going to go into that for obvious reasons. He's not going to be there. It was just weird to schedule, and maybe they didn't know, but they always say that they're like the sister conventions. So you would think that they have to relay this information to each other. Like, hey, we know that March is usually your thing, but we're going to have our convention. They had to know. Honestly, Naka Kon's always in March, but they have to move it to a different month. I think you should move it to a different month because there's no reason for you to try to compete with Planet Comic Con. The convention is too big, and another way you can look at this is if these people like Chris Sabat, Marco Real, let's say they wanted to come to Naka Kon, they could go to one convention. You know, there's really no way for them to go to two conventions in the same area a week apart unless they just stayed in Kansas City, you know, for 2-3 weeks. They're going to pick the bigger convention more often than not. That's more money in their pocket. So it's like, even if you did reach out to these people, they'd be booked already because they're already booked for Planet Comic Con. I definitely think that hurt this year's convention, without a shadow of a doubt. But I'm not trying to get too negative, but I mean, these are things that they do need to take into consideration because you continue to do this, and at Planet Comic Con, it looks like they've woken up and they realize, you know, just how big the anime community is. And, you know, if they start to cater to us the way that they did this year, every year, then yeah, it's gonna be a tough go for Naka Kon. Besides that, the panels have been going downhill. I want to say the past few years. Me personally, the panels I love to see open discussion panels where you can kind of come together, you know, as an anime community and kind of just discuss things that we love. I extremely enjoy game shows, trivia, things like that. You know, Anime Name That Tune is, if there's a panel I'm going to go to and I can only go to one panel, it will be Anime Name That Tune. But it just doesn't seem like they have a lot of that anymore. You know, it just seems like it doesn't seem like there's a lot of fan panels anymore, because it used to feel like a lot of the panels were run by the fans. Now it just seems like there's a lot of panels. When I say fans, I mean like con-goers, people that are actually going to the convention. I remember, you know, applications going up, you know, for guests to pitch, you know, panel ideas and to run panels. I've thought about doing it multiple times. We may do it one day. But it just doesn't seem like there's a lot of that going on. I definitely think they need to revamp how they're choosing and how they're picking these panels, the types of panels. I think some variety needs to be added, and they need to use the space that they have a lot more efficiently, because a lot of these panels, the rooms aren't big enough. You know, you have either the rooms aren't big enough, or the attendees or the people in charge of the door at the panels are letting the rooms get, you know, just flooded with people. And I get it that people, you know, pay money for these conventions to go to these panels, but I mean, you gotta shut the door sometime. And when you have so many people in there, you know, it disrupts the panel. It's a lot more noise than it needs to be. It probably makes it harder for the person running the panel to run the panel. I just think they needed to overhaul that part of the convention. That's a huge part of the convention, the panels, because besides just getting together with friends, partying, and buying merchandise, the panels is one of the main reasons we go to these conventions. And if the panels are lackluster, that reflects poorly on the convention as a whole. Another topic of discussion that I think has been greatly improved since last year was the food. Naka Kon, like I said, the parking is normally pretty, I won't say it's bad, it's a really packed event and the parking lot isn't big enough. So it makes it hard to go to and from. It's awesome that the hotel, the Sheraton that the convention center is attached to, has like the shuttle service. But the food on site has been so bad. And this is even Planet Comic Con, it's bad. It's bad and it's expensive. This year, It wasn't so bad. The food was actually pretty good. They have people serving ramen. The ramen is actually pretty tasty. This year they had some type of Asian cuisines. Like I think what I was eating was beef bulgogi served over rice. It's like $7. Good amount of food. You know, that was like steak strips with some type of sauce served over a bit of white rice. Pretty good. I've spent, you know, $7 on some nasty food plenty of times at convention because you're hungry and you don't really have a choice but to spend this money or just not eat, you know. So that was that was a definite improvement, and I appreciate seeing that because I'm sure someone complained about that because yeah, the convention food isn't very good and it's very overpriced. I mean, besides, you know, so we went over food at the convention, the panels, please, if anyone in charge of anything at Naka Kon, listen to what I'm saying. Watch some other reviews. I'm pretty sure other reviewers will say it too. Panel selection. I think you need to reach out to the community a lot earlier than you do about, you know, creating panels and, you know, making the convention, you know, do your best to make sure the convention is fun and engaging. Another topic of discussion is reaching out to the press. I find it irritating that, you know, it's like a month before the convention is when they start advertising, when they let the press know that they can apply for press passes. Now, if you're approved for press passes, that does not mean that you get into the convention for free. Not anymore. They charge you. They still will charge certain people for passes. So this year, for instance, I applied early February. I was notified midway through February that I was approved for press passes. I still had to purchase my ticket and the ticket for my associates. I wasn't given any complimentary tickets, which is fine. That's not the problem. The problem is, when does pre-registration stop for Naka Kon? The tickets are much cheaper in December and earlier in the year than they are 2 weeks before the convention starts. So the way I look at it is, if you're going to charge members of the media, you're going to charge me to take, you know, my time from my actual job, because a lot of the people that cover these events, this isn't our actual job. I don't get paid enough or anything to cover Naka Kon. I do it because I love to do it. So we have to take time off from work, and then I have to pay for my ticket. And again, you know, there's people that are helping me, people that are working with me that weekend have to pay for their ticket as well, where I'm perfectly fine with that. But if you would notify us or send these applications out earlier in the year, then it'll give us more time to prepare, and then we will be able to purchase tickets at a discounted rate, because it doesn't make any sense for me to have to spend $60 on a ticket if I would have just pre-registered my ticket. Now, one way you can look at it is maybe I should just pre-register my ticket anyway and then apply. I've done that before. Matter of fact, the first or second year I went to Naka Kon, that's what I did. And then I applied for my press tickets when I was able to apply for them, and I got them. And then it was a real hassle for me to get my money back, because if you're going to give me complimentary tickets, I want my money back for the money that I spent on the actual tickets. It's about organization, and I don't think there's any reason to decide who's going to be pressed a month before the convention starts. It should be done a lot earlier on. Like, I remember, and I could pull up the emails, you know, from Naka Kon's press director. I was getting those emails back in December. The convention didn't start until March, and that's how it should be. It was a lot easier to coordinate with the press director. It was a lot easier to schedule and, you know, schedule and apply and actually be there and cover certain events.
Oh, you're fine.
I used to have the ability to, interview people, which you still have the ability to do so, but it's a much more convoluted process now than it was before. So it might sound like I'm harping, or it might sound like it was a real negative experience. The experience at the convention was great. Like I said, I had fun like I always do. But there are definitely things that I'm not going to turn a blind eye to that they need to fix. They need to be looked at least looked at. And that's because I love the convention. It's a hometown convention. I'm going to always go there. I take my kids here. My kids love it. But it's not going to ever get better if we just pretend like it's okay. It's not okay. It can definitely improve. So, hopefully it improves. Naka Kon 2020 can't come fast enough. But when it does, I will be there. And hopefully you guys will be there too. Pretty sure you guys will. Well, thank you guys for listening to me. Really do appreciate it. Like always, like and subscribe to our podcast. You can listen to us on Spotify and Google Play Music, Stitcher, and hopefully soon Apple Music, iTunes. Also follow us on Twitter at GamingPlus2. Check us out on the web at thegamingplus.com. And like us on Facebook. There's a ton of stuff. You can pretty much find us anywhere. You're looking for The Gaming Plus. Thank you guys and see you later.